is, then that is what you have to give as a reason. The last one, what is the point of 0 in the middle of this number, 9024? It has no value, so why don't we leave it out? Why don't we leave it out? So you have to give a reason there. So number 8 and 9, you have to reason. So yet, you have to go through what I have said and you pick up the reason. Why are we not leaving it out? So that is the activity. I hope and wish you do it right. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. I hope you have learned so much in this lesson. Keep safe. Remember to sanitize all the time. And keep safe. Enjoy and goodbye.
Joshi, and make sure to always make a helicopter circle, stretching your arms out and spinning around like me. And make sure you're not touching anyone while doing this. Goodbye.
Today we'll start with linear programming, and if you download the PDF from this lesson, you have your notes, and we'll quickly just look at them. So the first thing is that when we have a smaller than or a larger than, our number that we use, for example the 1 and the 5, is not included. Which means everything less than 1 in the first one's case and everything more than 5 in the second one's case. So what is also important is that you know how your linear equations can be drawn. So you will start out with your timeline, and the first one we have 1 is less than x. So we will have, for example, a 2, a 1, a 0, and a -1. And 1 is less than x. X will go to the larger side. And we will have an open circle above 1, which indicates a less than, or that the number is not included. And x will go to the larger side, because if you read it from this side, your x is more than 1. So, looking at the second one, where 5 is more than x. So 3, 4, 5, it does not matter which numbers you decide to choose. 5 is not included because it's only a more than, so it's an open circle, and x will go to the smaller side because 5 is more than x. So the answer, if we have to find values for x, for example, it will, remember 1 is less than x, so it will be 2, 3, 4, going onwards to the larger side. For the second one, 5 is more than x, which means x should be smaller. That will be 4, 3, 2, 1. And you see that 1 and the 5 is not included. Then, if we have a smaller than or equal to and a larger than or equal to, this means the number is included. So in this case, our number will be because of the or equal to sign, which means x is less than or equal to 4. So if we draw this on a number line, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever you decide your number should be less than or equal to 4. So you will have a closed circle, a solid circle, and it will go to the smaller side because x is less than or equal to. And if we need to find the answer to x, we will include 4, 3, 2, 1. Because 4 and equal to means 4 can also be an answer. For the next one, we have x is larger than or equal to 3. So 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 is included or equal to. So we will have a solid circle and it will go to the larger side, more than or equal to 3. So finding answers to x, it can be 3, it can be 4, 5, 6, going on. That one will also go on. So that's the difference between larger than or equal to and smaller than or equal to. Then, just quickly looking at double inequalities, where we have two inequalities in one, what is important that you should remember, you will first need to solve the one inequality and then you will solve the second inequality separately and you will have a range. Then, another thing that is also important to remember with double or with any, if you divide by a negative, your inequality will swap. For example, you have negative 3x is larger than 3. You will divide by negative 3 on both sides, which means it will become x is less than negative 1. So if you divide by a negative, your inequality will swap. Divide by a negative and you can see your inequality. So grade 12s, here is some steps that you can use when you do your homework. First of all, you will start with inequality that, for example, will look like that, or it will only be one inequality. You will draw your graph, except if the question otherwise states you will need to shade the unwanted region, and then you can find your values depending on what your question asks. Grade 12s, I want you to open your mathematics textbook on page 189. Page 189, and I want you to do student assessment number 1. If you are done doing student assessment 1, you can play the video again and you can mark your work from the video. So I am continuing marking, you are doing your work and then marking. So for number 1. They ask you to solve the following inequalities, and we work with 17 plus 5x is less than or equal to 42. Solve like terms to one side, so we are left with 5x is less than or equal to 42 minus 17. The positive 17 becomes a 17, and 5x will be less than or equal to 25. Divide by 5 on both sides. X is less than or 5. Number B, 3 than or equal to 3 plus 2. First of all, get out your fraction, so we multiply all of them by 3. What you do with 1, you must do with all of them. So these two will cancel each other out. 3 times is more than or equal to y plus 6. Like terms to one side. 9 minus 6, the positive 6 becomes positive 6 will be more than or equal to y. And 3 is more than or equal to y. Number 1, B. Then for number 2, they ask you to find the range of the values for which number A and number B. So let's look at 2A. 7 is less than 4y minus 1 is less than or equal to 15. Like I said in the previous lesson, we need two inequalities. So there we have our 2, and we will solve them separately. 4y minus 1, and the other one will be 4y minus 1 is less than or equal to 15, and we will solve them separately. So taking your like terms to one side, 7 plus 1 will be less than 4y. Remember, if the negative is taken over, it becomes a positive. 8 is less than 4y. Divide by 4 on both sides to get y, and that will be 2 is less than y. Then your next inequality, taking the negative 1 over, which will become 15 plus 1. The negative taken over becomes a positive. 1 will be less than or equal to 16. Divide by 4 on both sides to get a y alone, and y and or equal to 4. Then y is less than or equal to 4. So this up with. For number B, 2B, we have 18 is less than 3, p plus 2 is less than or equal to 30. Again, we have two inequalities, so get your two inequalities. There we have one, and then we will have the other one. And we are left with 18 is less than 3, p plus 2, and the other inequality will be 3, p plus 2 in brackets is less than or equal to 30. So solving 1, we need to multiply out the brackets. 18 is less than 3p plus 6. Now we can solve our inequality by taking our like terms to one side. The positive 6 becomes a negative 6 is less than 3p. 18 minus 6 is 12 is less than 3p. Divide by 3 on both sides to get p alone, and that will be 4 is less than p. The second inequality, also multiplying out your brackets, 3p plus 6 is less than or equal to 30. Like terms to one side, so that we are left with 3p. If the positive 6 is taken over, it becomes a negative 6. Divide by 3 on both sides to get p alone. This will be 3p is less than or equal to 24. Divide by 3 on both sides to get p alone. P is less than or equal to 8. Showing this in one inequality, 4 is less than p is less than or equal to 8. And there we have number 2b. Then we can go over to number 3. They ask you, a garage stocks 2 kinds of engine oil. They have R cases of regular oil and S cases of super oil. First of all, for number A, you need to find or to express the constraints in inequalities. They have fewer than 10 cases of regular oil in stock. Regular oil is R, is less than 10 because they have fewer than 10. So they might have 9 or less. Then they say they also have and regular oil in stock, and between 3 and 9 cases of super oil. So they have more than 3 super oils, might have less than 9 cases of super oil. And then they also say they have fewer than 12 cases in stock altogether. So their super oil plus their regular oil is less than 12. They have fewer than 12 cases in stock. So now we need to draw this on our graph, and I just added my graph so long so that it does not take as much time. So this will be number B, where we have regular oil and super oil. So we will have super and we will have regular. The most that we have is 12, so that will be our axis, 12. And we need to end with 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Then we can start drawing. R is less than 10. That's the first one. So where's our R? Here is R. So we will have R is less than 10. So we will draw our line. There we have it. This one is R is less than 10. Then we have 3 is less than S is less than 9. So what we will have in this case is 3. So we will find 3, which will be somewhere there in the middle. Remember, we will stop at 12. So that is almost in the middle. And that one will be the part 3 is less than S. Remember, this is your S axis. If you swap your axis, it will be the other way around. Then we need to draw this part. It will be less than 9, so we need to find 9. There we have about 9, so we will draw our line. And then the last one, S plus R will be less than 12. So we cannot go more than 12. So what we will do is we will start with 12. And then we will stop at 12 above. And that means we cannot go more than We cannot have more than 12. So we will stop there at 12, and we will stop at 12 on the bottom side as well. That was number B. Then they ask you to shading the unwanted regions. So the first one, R is less than 10. So it cannot be more than 10. So we are shading the unwanted. 3 is less than S. So this is unwanted. S is less than 9. So it cannot be more than 9. So that's the top part. And it cannot be more than 12. And that's this part. So there we have our wanted area in the middle, this blank part. Just showing you this in another color. That's our wanted area. Then for number C, they ask you to state 2 possible solutions for the number of each case in stock. So there you can have your own answer as long as oil R and oil S amounts falls within this range. So you can decide, you can for example say R we have 2 cases. So we can have 2 cases, and S we have 6 cases. Just make sure that the answer you choose to C fits with your inequalities that you have drawn up. That's number 3. Then we can go over to number 4. And we will start with writing the inequalities. Students from Argentina and England. So in total, there will be between 12 and 20 students in total. So 12 will be the least, that will be Argentina and England students, between 12 and 20 students. There's our one inequality. Then it says, there are fewer than 10 students from Argentina. So Argentina students is less than 10, fewer than Argentina students. While the number of England cannot be more than 3 greater than the number from Argentina. So England is less than or equal to, they cannot be more than 3 greater. So Argentina students plus 3. 3 greater than Argentina students. So I am just quickly going to draw my axis. So grade 12, there is about my axis. This will end at 20. Obviously it will start at 0. And that will also end at 20. So I am just going to move this inequality so that we have a little bit space here. England is less than or equal to Argentina plus 3. So now our inequalities so that we can get our graph. So we need one side for Argentina and one side we need for England students. So I've got England on this side and Argentina on that side. There's no problem. So we will start out with our first inequality, which is this one. Argentina is less than 10. So find Argentina, then to find 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we will draw our line for 10 up until the start, which is at 20. So there, let me just make this a little bit smaller. So there we have our Argentina is less than 10. Then we will go to the next one. Argentina and England is less, or 12 is less than Argentina and England. So what we will do is we will go to 12 on both axes, and because if we add them together, they will be more than 12, but they will also be more than 20. So we will take our ruler to the 220s and you will draw your line for your inequality. And then there we have Argentina and England is less than 20. The last one is England is less than or equal to Argentina plus 3. So we will start out at 3, where England is at 3 because there will be 3 Argentina. We will start out at 3 and we will end at 20. So you will just measure this exactly. Number B, we first have to unshade the region which satisfies. So Argentina is less than 10, so they will be on this side, which means this part is our unwanted area. Then we have England is less than or equal to Argentina plus 3. So this part will be unwanted. Then Argentina and England is less than 12. So it will not be that part, is more than 12, so it will not be that part. And then we have Argentina and England is less than 20, so they will not be more than 20. So to find our, this part will also be shaded. So to find our part that satisfies all of them will be this part here in the center. So yours should also look like that. And then for number C, again, you need to find or to give 2 possible combinations for Argentina and England that will satisfy all 3 conditions. That depends on your answer, depends on your graph. Just make sure, as in the previous one, that it falls within this range, that red part that is not shaded. I have, for example, Argentina as 8. So that means we are going here, Argentina as 8, and then England we will have as 11, which is still in the region. Another one that I have, you might have something else, that's fine, do not worry about that, is Argentina is 6. There, it's still in the region, and then England will be 9, which is also still in the region. So just make sure that when you choose answers, good day, grade 12s. I want you to open your textbook on page 190, do student assessment 2, and then you can continue with the video and you can mark your work from this video. Student assessment 2, page 190, let us mark your work. So in number 1A and B, you need to solve the inequalities. So for 1A, you have 5 plus 6x is less than or equal to 47. Taking like terms to the same side, we are left with 6x is less than or equal to 47 minus 5. If the positive 5 is taken over, it becomes a negative 5. So 6x is smaller than or equal to 42. Divide by 6 on both sides to get x is smaller than or equal to 7. Number B, we have 4 is larger than, all you need to get away the fraction, so you will multiply by 3 on both sides. What you do on the one side, you must do on the other. So 12 is more than or equal to 1.